Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Blue Jays fans, the air feels different today. It's thicker, heavier, like the calm just before a summer storm breaks over the Rogers Center. The Kyle Tucker sweepstakes have shifted from distant noise to a low rumble you can feel in your chest. And when that happens in baseball, it usually means a decision is lurking just around the corner. Multiple insiders across the league have reported that concrete offers are now on the table. Real numbers, real years, real intent. And yes, the Toronto Blue Jays are firmly in the middle of it. This is no longer a waiting game. This is movement. Welcome back to the Blue Jays Report, because things are finally starting to happen. There's a reason this feels bigger than the usual free agent chatter. When offers start leaking, when insiders begin to align their timelines, it's usually because the player and his camp are narrowing the field. Jesse Rogers of ESPN dropped the first major breadcrumb, confirming that Kyle Tucker is actively fielding offers from both the Mets and the Blue Jays. That alone is enough to set pulses racing in Toronto, because it confirms what many suspected but couldn't yet prove. The Blue Jays aren't hovering on the outskirts. They're in the room, seated at the table, with chips pushed forward. The Mets side of this story is loud, bold, and exactly what we expected. Reports suggest an offer in the neighborhood of $50 million per season, eye-watering money delivered in a short-term package. Other insiders have backed this up by floating figures around 3 years and well over $100 million in total. It's the classic New York move: pay top dollar now, worry about later. It's seductive, especially for a player who knows his value and understands how rare these moments are. Toronto's approach, however, is playing a very different tune, and it's one that's been echoing quietly all winter. Jesse Rogers also confirmed that the Blue Jays have made a long-term offer to Kyle Tucker. No leaked numbers, no flashy headlines, just that single, crucial word: long-term. And that word carries weight. It tells you everything about how Toronto sees this situation. They're not trying to win a bidding war by shouting the loudest. They're trying to win it by offering permanence. Ken Rosenthal added another layer of intrigue when he suggested that Tucker's decision could come this week, next week, or very soon. On the surface, that sounds vague, but in the world of baseball reporting, it's anything but. When timelines shrink like that, it usually means the pieces are nearly in place. The conversations have turned serious, the options have been weighed, the internal debates are happening right now. What makes Toronto's position so fascinating is the patience they've shown. For weeks, some fans worried the Blue Jays were being used as leverage, a familiar and frustrating role from off-seasons past. But this time feels different. This time, Toronto waited. They allowed the Mets to show their hand first. They let the market establish a baseline. And now, with a high AAV short-term offer from New York, the Blue Jays can move exactly to the number and length they're comfortable with, without tipping their strategy too early. There's also a quiet confidence in how little has leaked from Toronto's side. In previous years, when the Blue Jays were merely a bargaining chip, details would spill out quickly, conveniently finding their way into public view to force another team's hand. That hasn't happened here. The silence suggests control. It suggests that Toronto believes its offer speaks loudly enough behind closed doors. Of course, this wouldn't be a proper sweepstakes without a wrinkle, and one emerged in the form of draft pick compensation. Some have pointed out that the Mets may have an advantage because they haven't yet signed a player with a qualifying offer attached, while the Blue Jays already have. If Toronto signs Tucker, they'd be surrendering additional draft picks, something no team has really done on this scale before. On paper, it sounds alarming, like mortgaging the future. But context matters. The Blue Jays are built to win now and over the next several years. Their roster core is set. Their pipeline isn't desperate for immediate reinforcements. Sacrificing draft capital hurts, but it hurts far less when you're not relying on those picks to save your franchise. If Kyle Tucker is wearing blue and white, the window isn't cracking open. It's already wide. That's why a comment from Ben Nicholson-Smith on Sportsnet raised eyebrows. When he suggested that the Mets and Dodgers should be scared of Toronto's competitiveness in this chase, it sent ripples through the fan base. Nicholson-Smith isn't known for exaggeration. He doesn't deal in hot takes. So when he says something like that, People listen, not because it guarantees an outcome, but because it reflects a reality. The Blue Jays have the money, they have the roster, and they have a path to offer Tucker no one else can replicate in quite the same way. If Toronto lands Kyle Tucker, this team stops being a plucky contender and starts looking like a genuine problem for the rest of baseball. The lineup deepens, the balance improves, the margin for error shrinks for everyone else. Suddenly, teams with World Series aspirations have to circle Toronto on the calendar and think twice. That's the tension hanging over this moment. Not just whether the Blue Jays get their man, but what it means if they do. The Mets can offer more money per year. The Dodgers can offer a legacy of championships. Toronto can offer security, stability, and a roster ready to win without asking one player to carry the entire burden. As this story edges closer to its conclusion, make sure you're locked in. Like the video, share it with fellow fans, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report so you don't miss a single update as this saga unfolds. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those moments you'll remember exactly where you were when the news finally broke. Whatever happens next, the sweepstakes are real, the stakes are massive, and the Blue Jays are very much alive. And as always, go Jays.